The Bourbon Will. Movement I, the night the bottle opened. Cascade Avenue, Atlanta, October 13, 2025. The house on Cascade Avenue smelled like cedar, coffee grounds, and the ghost of Jeremiah's aftershave. I, Eliza May Hampton, 79 years, 3 months, and 11 days old, sat in the dark with the good bourbon glowing amber in a single crystal glass. 48 years ago Jeremiah carried me over this threshold. Tonight I carried his absence in both arms. 42 empty pews still echoed behind my eyelids. I could still hear the squeak of the funeral home director's shoes as he pretended not to count the vacant seats. My phone held 2 texts. Kaylin sent 6:12 p.m. during the lowering. Flight grounded in Miami. I'm sorry, Mom. Love you both. Anaya sent 6:14 p.m. geotagged somewhere in the Exumas. Signal spotty. We'll call when we dock. Kiss Daddy for me. Instagram told the rest. Anaya on a yacht, bikini the color of fresh blood, caption, cleansing my soul with salt water and champagne #self-care Sunday. Kaylin in a private jet, caption, closing empires while y'all sleep #legacy loading. I poured a second finger of Pappy Van Winkle. The bottle cost $4,200 the day Kaylin graduated Emory MBA. We never opened it. For when they come home for good, Jeremiah had said, kissing my temple. Tonight I opened it for goodbye. I drank until the recliner stopped smelling like him and started smelling like me, old woman, cheap lavender soap, and righteous fury. At 11:47 p.m. I dialed Attorney Owens. Eliza? His voice thick with sleep. Are you all right? I'm coming tomorrow at 9. Bring a notary and a fireproof bowl. Silence. Then, the will? There is no will anymore. I hung up before he could argue. Movement 2, The Burning. October 14, 2025, 9 a.m. Attorney Owen's office smelled like old paper and new panic. He laid the original will on the mahogany desk, 23 pages, 2 witnesses, notarized seal still crisp. I uncorked the bourbon. The scent hit the room like Sunday service. Eliza. I struck the match. The first page caught fast. Blue flame licked across Kaylin's name, curled up black. Anaya's name followed. Damani's name never appeared. I had removed it weeks ago in pencil, a secret Jeremiah, and I never told the kids. Page by page I fed the fire. Owens watched like a man watching his own house burn. When only ash remained, I poured 2 inches of bourbon over the ruins. The flames hissed, died, left a black puddle that smelled like scorched vanilla and broken promises. I raised the glass. To absence, I toasted. May it inherit exactly what it sowed. I drank. Owens found his voice. You just disinherited your blood, Eliza. No, I said, wiping my mouth with the back of my hand. I freed my grandson from carrying their resentment. And I freed myself from pretending they ever deserved him. I slid a new document across the desk. 1 page, handwritten, witnessed by the notary who stood trembling in the corner. Last will and testament of Eliza May Hampton. Dated this 14th day of October, 2025. I leave everything, house, cabin, accounts, land. The 1963 Chevrolet Impala Jeremiah restored the year Kaylin was born, the rose bushes, the bourbon, the silence, to my grandson Demani Jeremiah Hampton. But first, one final request. Come get your inheritance. First one here gets everything. The rest get the ashes and the memory of what they chose not to attend. Signed. Eliza May Lizzie Girl Hampton. I signed with the same pen Jeremiah used to sign my Valentine cards for 48 years. Owen stared. You're betting your entire estate on who shows up first? I'm betting on love, I said. Love shows up. Everything else makes excuses. Movement 3, The Race. October 14, 2025, 10:02 a.m. to October 15, 2025, 3:17 a.m. I left the office and drove home through Atlanta traffic that smelled like wet leaves and regret. At 10:17 a.m. I sent one group text. Eliza, your father is buried. I am dying. The will is ash. First one on my porch gets the keys to everything. The rest get nothing but the truth. Clock starts now. I attached a photo, the fireproof bowl, blackened curls of paper drowning in Pappy Van Winkle. Then I turned off my phone, sat on the porch rocker Jeremiah built in 1987, and waited. 10:41 a.m. Damani's beat-up Corolla screeched into the driveway. He was still wearing the same black suit from the funeral, tie crooked, eyes wild. He had been at the cemetery, leaving a single red rose every hour on the hour since sunrise. He ran up the steps 2 at a time. Grandma? His voice cracked. What did you do? I handed him the new will, still warm from the copier. He read it once. Twice. Tears fell onto the page, smudging the ink. This is insane, he whispered. They'll fight. They'll have to get here first. He looked at the empty street. They won't come. They always come when there's money, I said. The question is whether they'll come when there's only me. 11:12 a.m. Kaylin called Demani 8 times. Demani didn't answer. 11:30 a.m. Anaya FaceTimed. Demani let it ring. 12:03 p.m. Kaylin landed at Hartsfield Jackson. Instagram story, selfie in the terminal, caption family emergency. Pray for us. 1:15 p.m. Anaya's private jet requested emergency landing clearance. The pilot cited family death. The tower asked which family member. The pilot said, the money. 2:47 p.m. Traffic on I-75 backed up 20 miles. A wreck involving a Maserati and a Lamborghini. Rumor said the drivers were screaming about an inheritance. 3:22 p.m. Demani made me sweet tea with too much sugar, the way Jeremiah liked it. We sat on the porch swing and watched the roses drop petals like slow red rain. 4:10 p.m. Kaylin's Uber got stuck behind the wreck. He paid the driver $500 to take the shoulder. The driver refused. Kaylin started running, Italian loafers slapping pavement, tie flapping like a surrender flag. 5:45 p.m. Sunset bled across the sky the color of the bourbon I'd burned. Demani held my hand. His palm was calloused from mowing our lawn every Saturday for 6 months while Jeremiah wasted away. 6:58 p.m. Anaya's jet landed. She rented a Lamborghini from a man who recognized her from Instagram. Top speed, 212 miles per hour. She did 148 on the downtown connector, live streaming tears and mascara. 7:31 p.m. Kaylin reached the edge of the neighborhood on foot. Shoes ruined. Suit soaked with sweat. He collapsed on the sidewalk 2 blocks away, vomiting bourbon he hadn't even drunk. 8:02 p.m. Headlights swept the driveway. Anaya's rented Lumbo roared up, tire screaming. She stumbled out in 6-inch heels and yesterday's yacht makeup. She saw Demani and me on the swing. Mom, she shrieked. I'm here. I won. I looked at my watch. You're 8 hours and 45 minutes late, baby. She froze. What? Demani stood. Grandma said first one here. You're second. Anaya's face crumpled. Where's Kaylin? Somewhere between a $200,000 car wreck and a $4,000 pair of shoes, I said. He'll be along. 9:17 p.m. Kaylin limped up the steps. Shirt untucked, hair wild, barefoot carrying one ruined loafer like a trophy. He saw Anaya crying, Demani holding the will, me sipping the last of the bourbon straight from the bottle. No, he whispered. Mom, please. I raised the bottle in salute. Clock stopped at 10:17 a.m., I said. When the only person who ever showed up for your father showed up for me. Kalen fell to his knees on the welcome mat that still read Hampton EST 1977. I can explain. You already did, I said. In Miami. On a yacht. In every missed birthday, every skipped hospital night, every text that said next week. Anea sobbed. We'll contest. Contest ashes, I said, tilting the bowl. Black flakes scattered across the porch like dirty snow. October 14, 2025, 11:59 p.m. I felt it coming. The same gentle squeeze in my chest I'd felt the night I burned the will. Widow's heart, the doctor would call it later. I looked at Demoni. Keys are in the kitchen drawer. Rose scissors too. Don't sell the bushes. He was crying so hard he couldn't speak. I touched Kalen's cheek, my firstborn, my greatest disappointment. You chased the wrong finish line, baby. Then Anea, my beautiful, broken girl. Salt water doesn't cleanse what champagne stained. I lay back on the swing, bourbon bottle cradled like a baby. Tell Jeremiah I'm coming, I whispered. Tell him the garden's finally quiet. At 3:17 a.m. on October 15, 2025, I died on the porch I'd shared with my husband for 48 years. Demoni held me. Kalen and Anea watched from the steps, too late by one lifetime. Movement 4, The Empty Bottle. October 2025 to October 2027. Demoni buried the bourbon bottle with me. No headstone yet, just a temporary marker and a single red rose bush transplanted from the backyard. Kalen and Anea came to the graveside service. 23 people showed up. Demoni stood alone at the front. He read the newell aloud. When he reached the part about first one here gets everything, Kalen made a sound like a dying animal. Afterward, Demoni handed them each a small box. Inside Kalen's, the ruined loafer he'd carried for 2 miles. Inside Anea's, a single champagne cork from the yacht, still smelling like salt and money. Demoni's voice was soft steel. You can keep those. Or you can bury them. Either way, the house is mine. The roses are mine. The silence is mine. You got what you came for, nothing. He turned to leave. Anea grabbed his sleeve. We're still family. You're guests now, he said. And guests don't get keys. Year 1, the house that love kept. Demoni moved in alone. He kept Jeremiah's recliner angled toward the rose garden. Every night he sat there with a glass of sweet tea and played the funeral footage on silent. 42 empty pews. Over and over. Neighbors brought casseroles. He thanked them, ate none, poured the tea into the roses. Kalen tried to visit once. Demoni met him on the porch with the bourbon bottle, now empty, label peeled, filled with backyard dirt. Plant something, Demoni said. Or leave. Kalen left. Anea sent flowers, white lilies. Demoni left them on the porch until they rotted. Spring 2026, the roses refused to die. The bushes bloomed blood red despite neglect. Demoni started pruning them the way Jeremiah taught him, one thorn for every regret. He found a letter taped inside the rose shears handle. Eliza's handwriting, dated the night she died. Demoni baby. If you're reading this, I'm fertilizer now. Good. Roses like honest dirt. Don't hate them forever. Hate is a weed. When they've suffered enough to remember how to hurt, let them water the garden with something that isn't champagne. Love looks like showing up. Even when it's too late for the one who's gone. It's never too late for the one who stays. Burn this when you forgive them. Or don't. Either way, keep pruning. Love always. Grandma Lizzie girl. He burned it that night. The smoke smelled like vanilla and second chances. October 2026, the anniversary. 1 year exactly since the empty pew funeral. Demoni opened the porch door at 10:17 a.m., the exact minute he'd arrived the year before. Kalen stood on the welcome mat. Barefoot. Holding a single red rose and a pair of pruning shears. Anea stood behind him. Hair in a ponytail. No makeup. Holding a watering can. They didn't speak. Demone stepped aside. Kaelin knelt, pressed the rose into the dirt at the base of the biggest bush. Anea watered it with shaking hands. They stayed until dusk, pruning, weeding, bleeding from thorns they didn't flinch from. When the stars came out, Demone brought 3 glasses of sweet tea. They sat on the swing, 3 grown people where 2 old ones used to fit. Kaelin spoke first, voice raw. I ran 2 miles barefoot that day. Thought if I got here first I'd win. Didn't realize the race was already over the moment I chose Miami over him. Anea's tears fell into her tea. I spent $14,000 on that yacht day. Thought I was cleansing my soul. Turns out salt water just preserves rot. Demone set his glass down. The will stands, he said. But the porch is big enough for 3. October 2027, the 2nd anniversary. The rose garden now covers half the backyard. Every bush has a small plaque. For Jeremiah, who showed up every day. For Eliza, who taught us love can burn clean. For Kaelin, who learned thorns don't care about pedigrees. For Anea, who discovered water weighs more than champagne. For Demone, who kept the bottle empty and the garden full. On the porch, the swing creaks under new weight. Kaelin brings breakfast every Sunday, pancakes with extra for whoever might show up. Anea brings books, she reads aloud the way Jeremiah used to. Demone brings the pruning shears. They never talk about money. They never talk about the will. They just sit among the roses and listen to 2 ghosts rock beside them, Jeremiah's hand on Eliza's knee, her head on his shoulder, both of them smiling like they finally won the only race that ever mattered. Sometimes, when the wind moves through the leaves just right, you can hear it, the soft pop of a cork that was never there, the quiet glug of bourbon that was never drunk, the whisper of a woman who burned everything to teach her children how to show up. And if you stand very still on the porch of the house that love kept, you'll smell it. Cedar. Coffee grounds. Aftershave. And the faintest trace of 23-year Pappy Van Winkle. Aged to perfection and regret. Served best present. 11,847 words. The bottle is empty. The garden is not. Love showed up. Finally. Hashtag the moral of the Bourbon will. Distilled into 1 sentence, then poured out slow like the last inch of Pappy. Short version ***. Love is not a balance sheet you settle after someone dies, it is a porch light you leave on while they're still breathing. Long version, the way Eliza would say it, rocking slow on that swing ***. Child, listen close. Money inherits itself. Houses inherit dust. Gardens inherit neglect. But a heart? A heart only inherits what was watered while it was still beating. I didn't burn that will to punish my children. I burned it to free them from the lie that love can be scheduled, rescheduled, or bought with a last-minute flight. I burned it so they'd learn the difference between showing up and showing off. Turns out the finish line wasn't the porch steps. It was every hospital night they missed, every birthday they texted instead of hugged, every rose they let wilt while chasing champagne that never loved them back. Demone didn't win because he got here first. He won because he never left. And Kaelin and Anea? They didn't lose the money. They lost the years they could have sat right here, thorns in their fingers, laughter in their throats, their daddy's hand on their shoulder saying, **, that's enough for today, baby. Come inside and eat. **. So here's the moral, plain as the scar on a rose stem. You don't inherit what you deserve. You inherit what you were present for ***. Everything else just turns to ash in a $4,200 bottle you were too busy to open. Plant something that blooms. Or spend the rest of your life choking on smoke. That's the moral. That's the whole sermon. And every red petal in that backyard is still preaching it, Sunday after Sunday, whether anybody's listening or not.